Thinking of ditching the 9-to-5 grind and travelling the world full-time? Well, is it really worth it?
Well, in this video, we're going to dive into the pros and cons of traveling the world full-time. Whether you're a digital nomad, an early retiree, or interested in this lifestyle, then this video will give you a realistic view on what traveling full-time around the world looks like.
For the last 2 years we've been travelling and we've been to 14 countries so far.
Yeah, country number 14 is where we are now, which is Vietnam. We're here for the start of the Lunar New Year.
Leaving the known and the secure life that we'd known before can be daunting for a lot of people, and not knowing what the future holds or where you're going to go or what life takes for you can be concerning for some.
Yeah, well, there's so many unknowns out there before you take that leap. Can you imagine yourself selling all of your belongings and packing one suitcase each with everything that you're going to live off for the next year, 2 years, indefinitely, heading off to that first destination?
Well, that's what we did. We had many unanswered questions of whether we would like it, how it was going to happen, was it going to work out, and so many concerns.
Yeah. Some of the common challenges that come with full-time travel are financial stability and personal relationships as well. 9-to-5 job has a level of job security, or at least most people have a perception of security. There are a lot of companies that are struggling at the moment, and redundancies are quite commonplace. But whether you're leaving a job or retiring or traveling as a digital nomad, it's really important to know what income you have each month so that you can form a budget.
The next challenge is knowing how much it will cost to live in a country that you want to travel to. And that can change a lot even in a year because of hyperinflation in some countries.
Yeah, we've experienced that in a number of countries. You have a look at the menus, and often people post menus of a year ago or 2 years ago, and they're tripled in price.
Yeah, by the time we got there, it wasn't as cheap as we thought.
No, not at all.
Yeah.
And we've done lots of videos already on cost of living in many different countries around the world. So if you're interested in that kind of content, then just remember to subscribe, hit the like button and the notification bell so that YouTube knows to show you our future videos on living abroad, what it's like there, and what the costs are as well.
Another big challenge is leaving family and friends and not seeing them as often, obviously. You need to consider how often you'd like to go back to see them and factor that cost back into your budget for your travel time. We've kept in touch with video chats, calling them, having lots of texts and group chats, sharing lots of photos with people. And of course, they can always come visit you, which our adult kids have done.
Yes, they have. She's been great. And, we've got kind of family that are dotted on either side of the globe, and so that's been great for families to get together where maybe it wouldn't have happened previously. But before we left, we really weren't sure whether we were going to be able to make friends around the world. Were we going to be, a bit lonely and just the two of us? But that was kind of shouldn't have really been a concern. We have met so many people. We've made so many really good friends around the world. And we've actually kind of met those friends in different countries as well. So one friend that we made in Mexico, we then met up with when we were in Madrid in Spain. Some of the friends that we made in Bali are actually coming over to see us here in Vietnam, which will be great.
Cool.
Yeah, and certainly one of the things that surprised me was just how many people there are out there that are similar to us, and they're traveling the world, quite freely, and they're all really kind of like-minded and want to make friends. So it's been actually quite easy making friends.
We would say it's been easier travelling as a couple because we've got each other for support and fun, company. But there are lots of solo travellers who meet up with new people, make lots of friends as they're travelling too.
Yeah, definitely. Well, like we've made friends with lots of people who are travelling on their own.
Yeah.
But I guess, you know, the flip side of travelling as a couple is you get, you know, spending a lot of time together, like, you know, almost 24/7.
Yeah.
And so, you know, that can really put your relationship to the test, and definitely something you should consider, you know, before leaving and getting into that, or maybe consider ways to handle that, have some space, whatever works for you. You know, we've been very fortunate, you know, for us, we love spending time together.
Yes.
Not
been a problem at all,
no,
has it?
It's actually
been great.
Been a positive, yeah.
So if we talk about some of the pros of full-time travel, one of the big ones is life is so much less stressful.
Yeah.
So much better for our mental health. We're so much more relaxed and content and calm.
Yeah.
And really happy.
Yeah, definitely. I don't think kind of we realised what level of stress we actually were carrying through life, you know, in our old jobs and careers. And, you know, certainly when we've met people, our old friends, and they kind of go, oh, you look so relaxed, and, you know, kind of...
this life is good for you.
Yeah. So, like, definitely see that as a real positive.
Yeah.
Another pro is we don't have a fixed schedule. Which is great. You know, there's a lot of kind of freedom and flexibility in that. We are kind of both planners, so you know, we actually do sit down and we create a bit of a weekly plan at a fairly loose level, just to give us an idea of all the things that we want to pack into our week.
We like routine still.
Yeah.
So it's important to have routine, but we're quite flexible.
Yeah, we have to be, because sometimes things don't quite go as planned. So, for instance, trying to find a gym that was open. It's Lunar New Year at the moment. So we went to a gym this morning and it was closed.
Yeah.
So that kind of disrupted the rest of our day. But, you know, we kind of adapted and rescheduled.
Yeah.
But having the flexibility to do that has been really good.
Another pro of full-time travel is you could choose the next country you want to go to. There's no rushing back to work. There's no cost to going back home for any reason. You can just go on to the next place. Yeah,
and I kind of, by only really kind of going forwards in one direction, the costs are considerably less because you're not kind of flying in and out of a home country. Another pro, which we touched on earlier, is meeting new friends. And we've met so many new friends and friends that we keep in touch with. And, you know, I really do think that if we had stayed back in our hometown in Australia, we wouldn't have made any new friends, or maybe the odd one or two.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Another pro of full-time travel is seeing new cultures and having new experiences.
Yeah.
Like we've been to Mexico and seen amazing Mayan pyramids.
And seeing kind of like just being immersed in the local kind of, just mixing with locals and, you know, seeing how they live. It's been really fascinating.
Yeah. Late nights in Spain instead of really early nights in other countries.
We're really in love with the Spanish lifestyle. It's fantastic. And, you know, living in Italy, we lived in the south of Italy, in Puglia, for a month. And certainly, like one of the highlights, it was just amazing to see all of the different towns. The variety was just spectacular. Loved it so much. Yeah.
And another great part of travelling like this is that you get to try new skills, learn new things that you would never have had the opportunity to do at home.
Yeah.
Or especially if you're working full time.
Yeah.
We didn't even know about acro yoga, for example, until we were at a gym in Mexico and saw other people doing it, and then found a coach, and oh my God, now we can find it around the world.
Yeah, so everywhere we go, we try and see are there any acro yoga classes or meetups, which has been great. Learning to dance and dance bachata. So that's been really fun. We had a lot of lessons and classes when we were in Mexico. And also we had a class in Bali as well.
Yes. Yeah. And we wanted to learn Spanish. So we found a fabulous place called Antigua in Guatemala to learn Spanish and go to school every day for 4 weeks.
Yeah.
It was wonderful.
Yeah, it was really great. We chose Spanish because we already spent, I don't know, at least 9 months in Spanish-speaking countries.
Yeah.
And so it was a good investment. And Guatemala is a great place to learn Spanish. They have a lot of really good schools, and the costs are really affordable as well.
Yeah.
Another really big pro is the food. Being able to experience and taste so many different varieties of food around the world. I mentioned that we lived in the south of Italy.
Oh.
Wow. Oh, I can still taste the pasta. It was just so good.
It's not the same as all the pasta dishes we've tried in Australia, for example.
No, not at all. And, the food in Mexico, Guatemala, Colombia.
Spanish tapas.
Yeah. And like here in Vietnam, so fresh and just super affordable as well. So, we're really, really loving the food scene around the world. And, I think that probably one of the other pros for us in particular is the ability to follow the sun.
Oh, yes.
Neither of us like the cold. And so when we plan out what countries that we're going to visit around the world, we're always looking at the weather. What season should we go in? We want it to be nice and warm, not any of the rainy seasons.
No.
And so far we've managed to do that pretty well.
Pretty well, yeah. So, of course, there are cons to full-time travel. A big one for us is not seeing our family and friends in person as often as we'd like to.
Yeah.
It's been quite some time. It was quite a long time, actually, for me to not see my parents and kids.
Yeah. It's definitely a con and something to, really think about. And, as we said earlier, we really look at trying to keep in touch virtually, which we do frequently through all the weeks.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's definitely a consideration for everyone before you actually go and jump into full-time travel. The next con is learning how to manage on a much smaller budget. And it's something that, we've had to adapt to, during our journey. We actually use a budget tracker called Travel Spend.
It's been great.
And it's been fantastic.
Really easy to use.
Yeah. So each time we make a purchase, we, just enter that into the app. So we have, a full itinerary of all of our costs. So it's really important to know where you're at. And we found that really helpful to make decisions on, we're going to pay a bit extra and go on a tour in this country, or we're going to overspend in this country and save in the next country. So knowing where you stand is super important. Another con, and a little bit out of our control, is inflation. So, there are many countries with hyperinflation. It's gone up 100% more in some countries. And certainly across the globe, inflation has been really high over the last few years. So it's definitely a con and a consideration for, what does that look like in the future in terms of, finances.
Another con is the pace of travel. If you go too quickly, you spend a lot of time planning, booking and transiting, and then you can burn out. So we find it a lot easier to stay somewhere for a few months now.
Yeah.
And have short holidays while we're there.
Yeah. When we were in Europe in last year in 24, because of the 90-day Schengen rule, i.e. you can only spend 90 days in pretty much most of Europe, we tended to travel a little bit more quickly there so that we could see different things. But yeah, there was just a lot of logistics, really kind of trying to plan things, and it took a lot of your time.
Yeah, it was like a full-time job almost.
Yeah, it was. And then another con is sometimes your decisions are not always the best decisions. So, you can get it wrong. And, you know, we found ourselves in a couple of countries that we just haven't enjoyed. So early on in our travels, we went to Sofia, the capital of Bulgaria. And look, we just didn't enjoy it. We didn't gel with it. It really wasn't our kind of place. But you're there, you've booked for a month, you're stuck there for a month. So, you know, you just have to make the most of it. And, you know, again, like another instance where we don't feel like we got it right was traveling to Albania. Many people love Albania. I think we just kind of chose the wrong town to stay within Albania. But we didn't enjoy it. And again, we kind of had to make the most of the month that we stayed there.
And one other kind of full-time travel is that you don't have a routine. It's not formed for you. Like when you have a full-time job, you have, you know, the hours of work and then the after work activities, and they're, you know, fairly similar week to week.
Yeah.
But you can make a routine, and we found that really helpful to keep us structured and sane and happy.
Yeah, like, I mean, we're kind of, I guess, people, like a lot of people who, you know, thrive better with having some kind of routine. I guess that's not for everyone. People can just wing it, but certainly a lot of people really need a routine.
Yeah.
Many people said that we were brave before we left Australia. Neither of us felt like we were doing a brave thing. You know, we were a little bit apprehensive. You know, there were a lot of unknowns out there, but like mostly we were just excited and looking forward to, you know, what this kind of new lifestyle would bring. And then, you know, like you find yourself splashing around in the Mediterranean and, you know, you don't feel brave. You just kind of feel super liberated and just, you know, so high on life. You know, it's just been fantastic.
Life is too short. We know people who've died in their 50s and a friend who broke both his knees when he retired.
Yeah.
And they've been big, important factors in us deciding to stop working and live our best life and travel the world full time.
Yeah. So while there are a number of cons to consider about, you know, traveling the world full time, for us, it's definitely been way, way better than that we could possibly have imagined.
Yeah.
Yeah. Certainly no plans to stop anytime soon, that's for sure.
And we found lots of ways to manage what people would think are cons or challenges of full-time travel.
Yeah.
And it's been great.
Yeah. So if you have any questions about living this kind of lifestyle, just drop a comment in the comment section below. And just check out our other videos on living abroad in places like Mexico, Romania,
Spain.
Yeah.
And the next one will be Vietnam.
Absolutely. Yeah.